All right, so let's continue on with the return computations. Now, the examples that I did previously for calculating returns, I specified that the asset that we're investing in, say a stock, it didn't pay any dividends during the time that you actually held the stock. Now, when you buy a stock in a publicly traded company, the company may decide to share some of its profits with the shareholders. If it decides to do that, then it could pay a dividend to each shareholder of the stock. And public companies, they have meetings every quarter, every 3 months, and they make a decision, are they going to pay a dividend or not? And so some types of stocks pay dividends regularly, and they're often, like public utilities or very established companies. Every quarter you get a dividend payment. And so in that respect, a dividend-paying stock has a feature very much like a bond. Other stocks, for example, stocks like Google, which are young companies, they're growing fast. They don't want to share their current income with the shareholders. They want to plow it back into the business and make the business grow. And so companies like Google typically don't pay dividends, and you buy the stock primarily for price appreciation purposes. You think Google's going to continue to go up in price, and you'll make money based on the change in price. Whereas if you have an established company, the stock price might stay pretty much the same over time, but if you receive a dividend every quarter, then you make money essentially by the dividend payment. So it's important in calculating returns to account for any dividends if the stock is paying them. So so DT is going to represent any dividend payment between months T minus 1 and T. So then when we do the return calculation, we include the dividend income stream in the rate of return. So what's called the total return is the price you sell it for at month T plus any income in terms of dividend that you receive between months T minus 1 and T minus the price you paid for it divided by the price you pay for it. Now we can break this total return into the pure percentage change in price without the dividend. This is called the capital gain. And then we have the dividend payment divided by your initial price. This is called the dividend yield. So your total return is capital gain return plus dividend yield. Now when you have a growth company like Google, you don't have the dividend, and so your return is essentially pure capital gain. And if you have invest in a public utility or something like that, essentially the price never changes, but it pays a regular dividend, so your return is essentially a dividend yield. And then total returns are the sum of these two. Okay? And so 1 plus the total return is this. Okay. So we do an example with Microsoft. So for a long time, Microsoft didn't pay a dividend. It was a growing company and so on. And about 5 years ago, it decided to pay dividends. Now, in our computation, if PT minus 1 is 85, the price at time T is 90, and let's assume Microsoft pays a $1 dividend between months T minus 1 and T. So then the total return is the price you sell it at 90 plus the $1 dividend minus the price you pay for it divided by 85. So your capital gain component is 5.8%. Your dividend yield is 1 divided by $85. That's roughly 1%. So your total return now has gone up from 5.88% to 7%, and this extra bit of return comes from the payment of the dividend.